Today, we're looking at two great manufacturers, Yamaha and Kawai, and we'll be comparing their top-of-the-line student piano, the K200 from Kawai, and the B3 from Yamaha. Both incredible upright pianos. They are the last stage before it enters the Japanese manufacturing. Great instruments. Let's take a listen.
Hi, this is Ted with Alamo Music Center in beautiful downtown San Antonio, Texas.
I'm Patrick Marr. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channels, check out our other videos, sign up for notifications, like our videos, leave us comments. We appreciate your support. We love to interact with you.
Top of the line, Indonesian manufacturing.
I know. We just did a video on Indonesian pianos.
It's Indonesia week.
And so we feel like that's what we need to lead with, I guess, in this. But really, I think we can kind of forget about that, where it's manufactured. This is their student entry line acoustic uprights.
Yeah, and both companies claim that they have parts and soundboards assembly there in Japan, where they make them, and then they ship them over there to the factory, and those guys put them into wood frames, I guess they make there locally. Yeah,
they assemble the instrument there, and I think over the years, some of the manufacturing process has probably been passed along through the Indonesian factories. But both incredible instruments. They are, right off the bat, we'll talk about the size difference in these two. Kawai cuts off their student level piano at that 45-inch that mark. So it's a little bit smaller than the 48 inches that the B3 is at. The B3 is the same size as the Yamaha U1, which can be confusing, especially I remember we used to have the B3 next to the U1 and it looked really confusing. It was like, why is there a big price difference between these two?
It's hard to explain.
And like the only difference that you can really see is the split top. The U1 has a split top where it folds over on top of itself, the lid, and the B3 has a full one-piece top. But they do look almost indistinguishable. And when you play them, if you are a player, you can kind of tell the difference. But both these instruments, the B3, the K200, fantastic instruments. What's your favorite thing about the K200?
What I like about the K200 is basically what Kawai says about their pianos. And Kawai, tone is everything. And to me, just the tone that comes off of that instrument is a great tone for a 45-inch piano.
Yeah, I would say my favorite part is the Millennium 3 action. I love how they, at every level of their upright, every level of their grand, they want to include the best action that they can. The K200 all the way up to the K800 is going to have the Millennium 3 upright action. Size changes as the piano gets bigger, but the K200 has a fantastic action. The K300 has a fantastic action. You get that carbon fiber ABS componentry.
It looks like it's designed and built like by NASA engineers.
Mm-hmm. When you pull the lid off, it's beautiful because it's like you see all the black whipping cages and composite material. It's beautiful.
And I think that just for me as a worker, regardless of where the plant is, it's got to be a lot easier to assemble where your action components are clones of each other instead of wood reproductions. I mean, when you're making something out of a composite material, they're going to be exactly alike.
Yeah.
And it shows when you line them up, when you build them, when you put them together. It's just it's remarkable.
Mm-hmm. And the favorite thing about the B3, what do you like about the B3?
What I like about the B3 is that it finally, after all those years of selling Yamaha, when we sold Yamaha, it was really hard to explain this Cable Nelson concept. And I thought, I don't know why they have these sub-named products to generate different markets or demographics or to make it sound like it's a different kind of brand. But when they finally went to just putting Yamaha on it, I thought that was just a lot simpler for them in terms of marketing and saying, we're Yamaha pianos and we make these pianos, but here's another name brand that we make that isn't Yamaha. Mm-hmm. And I think that eventually kind of caught up with them. It's kind of like the one time that Yamaha realized one year they had their top 3 selling instruments. It was a silent piano, a silent violin, and a silent trumpet. Those were their top selling instruments, and they're an instrument manufacturer is supposed to make noise, and their top ones were silent. And so that made them rethink a lot of their marketing strategy. I think they're still struggling with it now as a result of, having to restructure a lot of their internal mechanisms in all their divisions, not just the piano division.
Well, let's take a listen to both these instruments. They are fantastic. Definitely different tones between the B3, the Yamaha tone, and the Kawai tone on this K200. But we're going to take a listen to them. We'll come back, talk about a couple different features with these and also additional technology that can be added to these, which make them kind of versatile instruments for a student, for a beginner, or even for an intermediate player.
All right, Patrick, I hope you could hear what I was talking about there with tone. But the reason why I think they say tone is everything at Kawai, because, well, that's what the instrument's all about, is making tones. But the secondary of that is, and I tell people this, that when they play the SKs, and then they play the GXs, and then they play the Kawai pianos, is that they all literally are going to play the same. They're going to respond different based on the sound and the tone. And so that is going to make the player think that the thing is playing different, and they do, because you respond to the instrument different. And that's the tone on the K200 makes you play like it's more of a serious piano. And I really prefer the hammers on the K200.
Well, it's interesting when looking up both these instruments. If you go to the manufacturer's website, if you go to look at the B series from Yamaha, if you look at the K series from Kawai, they're represented differently. And Kawai, it's front and center. This is our K series. It's the K200, the K300, 400, 500, up to the 800. And then Yamaha, it's, this is the B series, and it's kind of an afterthought to their U series. And it feels that way because you look at like the features, and it's like very limited. It's like, quality, it's the same quality as the first thing they talk about. And so, they're trying to address the elephant in the room of, hey, this is made in our different factory, but it's still quality, we promise. And, it is still quality.
It is.
But that, they don't really talk about what's in the instrument. Kawai's front and center is Millennium 3 action, double felted mahogany hammers. And
all our normal stuff is normally in this piano.
Yeah, and you go to the Yamaha website, and it's, these are our B series hammers, and it's like a little bit, you're wanting more information.
Are these exceptions or these compromises or cost effectiveness?
And not to, Yamaha is a great company, and the B3 is an incredible instrument, but it is hard to find information. They sell a ton of these in the US market because of the price point. And you look at the price point, and they're not that different in MSRP dollars. It's $9,009 on the B3, and it's, I want to say, about $1,000 left. It's around $8,000 on the K200 MSRP prices.
But there's a key component that I often thought about is that when it comes down to filling out what's a big portion of both of these companies' sales is institutional sales. It has a lot to do with not just collegiate, but also high school and junior high schools. Is that when you look at a purchase order or a requisition for equipment, 48-inch tall Yamaha piano, no other off-name brand, some whatnot, the B3 actually fills where they're budgeting for a U1.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a propensity in there for them to have more profit per sale if you swap out. If the bid doesn't say like a U1 or exactly a U1, they can put a B3 in there
Mm-hmm.
and charge accordingly. And I think that was part of getting rid of that cable Nelson thing from the Yamaha perspective.
Yeah, I mean it's you see it looks like a studio upright and is very indistinguishable from a U1 unless you sit down and play it and really start to dig a little bit deeper.
Right.
But let us know your thoughts. Of course, these are different size instruments, so the string length is different. The B3 has a longer string length than the K200. The K200, I would say, has a superior action. With the Millennium 3, it's just a more modern action and really a great, fantastic instrument. But let us know your thoughts. If you've played a B3, if you've owned one, if you've played a K200 or a K2, the predecessor, let us know what your experience were and how you picked that piano. Maybe you chose an upgrade. Maybe you chose the U1 over the B3, or maybe you chose the K300 over the K200. Let us know what went into that decision making. Maybe helps others, really weigh it out and say, hey, maybe I should spend a little extra, get like that next level up, or maybe this is exactly what I need and it got the job done. I think those stories will be helpful for people when looking for the right instrument. This is Ted Barstow. I'm Patrick Marr here at Alamo Music in San Antonio, Texas. Find us online at alamomusic.com. Thank you for watching.